Hi, I'm Mark Cotty from the National Disability Coordination Officer Program, Region 15 Northern Victoria. This video is a result of a workshop that I gave the other night. So I've used the audio from my presentation and mixed it with the slides just to give you a background around assistive technologies and the role of the new devices as we move forward. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy. I want you to look at a quick video around this. So there's an acronym called SET, Student, Environment, Task and Tool. This is a process that you use when you're assessing using technology with a person with a disability. It could be anything really. You don't start with the tool and work backwards, you start at the other end. So I'll give you a quick video and show you what I mean by that.
The SETT framework, a basis to assistive technology assessment. SETT is an acronym for student, environment, task, and tools. Working in that particular order, it provides a framework of where to from here when it comes to using assistive technology. Always start with the student. Focus on their current abilities and also their limitations. What are the other students doing that this student needs to be able to do? Second comes environments. Where will the activities take place? Fixed setting or mobile? Are we looking at one environment only, such as school, or does it also include the home or other community settings? Next comes tasks. What are we actually trying to achieve, and specifically, how do we put this into context regarding the previous two assessments of student and environments? Lastly comes the tools themselves. Tools are devices and services, anything that is needed to help the student access and participate in learning programs. Once you have identified a tool, you need to consider a range of additional factors. These include ease of use, cost, universality of one tool versus a complexity of using a range of tools, what are possible other non-tech options. Finally, a trial and evaluation of the inclusive technology selected needs to be undertaken and tested in the intended environments.
I actually don't follow it exactly the way it says, student. I do in an instance to start with, but then I go up and down it all the time depending on what I'm trying to sort out. Because it might be you've only got one tool as an option, then I'll work backwards some way. Or I might say, well, it's actually in this environment. Let's look at the environment and then work another way. So I don't actually go that way all the time. Once I get through it, I might jump around on that sort of scale. But I want to refer to it as we go through. Hopefully I will do it in a way that makes sense to you. So where's all this started for me? Back in 2013, a survey went out to all the universities to say, what sort of assistive technology are you using, especially around learning difficulties, so that incorporates that reading and writing type stuff. And it basically came back as JAWS, Zoom, Text, Dragon, Read and Write and Win. Dragon, who's heard of Dragon? Still really popular, and I don't have a problem with Dragon. JAWS and Zoom, they're not very inclusive because it makes you stand out that you're using one, for example. And the other thing is all these licenses for computers are expensive. And I'll show you a slide when I go through the resources that shows the Dragon suite, and they start from like $120 up. The actual app on your iPad or phone is free. There's a free version. The other thing I want to point out, I've got three little symbols on here. UDL principles, who's heard of, I'm not talking about the pre-mix king here. Anyway, universal design learning. Basically we're talking about, I want to just point out to you, sometimes it's not your fault, or it's not your child's fault, it's the system they've been put into. I don't know if you've ever heard the thing, the disability is not the person, it's the environment that's a disability that's not accommodating them. You will find some people do universal design learning better than others. And I love this one because it points something out to me about old school thinking. I won't talk about the charcoal too much, but The actually one missing there is the big pen or the actual, that biro changed schooling forever. Went from slate to the biro, changed how schooling was done. Has anyone thought about why there's a QWERTY keyboard still on your laptop? Because it was actually designed to stop the keys from smacking together on a typewriter. That's how the design of the keyboard was made. Why are we still using QWERTY on a keyboard? I don't have an answer for that, but what I'm sort of talking about there is there's still hangover of old school thinking, and we need to sort of break that a bit. With new products coming along and new styles and stuff, we can try different things if we just open our minds up a bit. And we really think about that task. What is the task we're trying to get students to achieve? That's the big one. You do have rights. When this stuff gets in your way, make sure that you have a think about it. So where did I go to from that survey and then discovering? I went to a thing called Spectronics Workshop. The Spectronics is in the resource sheet when I go through it. They were sort of the first, not the first ones, they're the ones that really promote iPad stuff in the education sector in Australia. And I found out a few things. The actual system of using devices. So I'm going to use, I keep saying iPads all the time, but I really mean devices. There's some critical areas of these devices. There's the hardware, so what type of device? And they're the things like the smartphone, the tablet, or the computer, notepad. Some of them are hybrids, like your Surface Pro, you actually pull it off, it becomes an iPad, but it also comes a laptop when you put it back together. They're your device types. They actually all run on different systems. Yes? I could do a quick survey. Who here is an Apple user? Who here is an Android person? Who here is a Microsoft person? You'll probably find that you're a number of those people. I am a number of those people where I use an iPad device. I will use Google products. I've also got a Microsoft computer where I use Office Suite. Most people will use, if you're in workplace, most of it's all Microsoft based anyway, Outlook, all that sort of stuff. But they have different functions and different pluses and minuses, specifically for the accessibility features that are built within them. I like Apple because it's got a lot of stuff built into it. Other reasons I do like Apple I'll get to. Then there's the software component. So these are all the things that you can put on there. So if you go with an Apple system, you can only put Apple products on there. If you go with an Android system, you can put a whole bunch of stuff on there. Windows has bugger all apps. Then there's the netware side of it. When I talk about netware, I'm talking about where you connect to the system and the basics that you need for a lot of this stuff to work. If your child can connect to the internet, they can connect to anything they want. If they can't connect, they're missing out. Just the Apple versus everything else thing. With the software products, Apple's about middle of the range for a product. So these devices, the hardware stuff, it's about the middle of the range. The Samsung sort of Android-y stuff is the cheapest end. Windows is at the top end. With the software products you buy, the Apple stuff will normally be more expensive, but it's more rigorous and less likely to break and fail because they go through a better process, the app building stuff. If you want to know more about that, there is a 10-minute video I created a while ago, so it's a bit dated and the sound on it is a little bit dodgy. I will have this linked in your notes. And it just takes you through that process a bit more, explains it a bit better, and how that fits in for you if you are not aware of that sort of stuff. The other reason I like Apple, as I said, was these, in the settings, there's the accessibility features, a whole bunch of stuff in there. So even before we talk about any sort of apps or products or anything else, the device has a whole bunch of stuff built into it, all ready to go. I've got this over here saying don't forget. Does anyone know what that symbol is there?
Is that download or?
No. Think Microsoft actually. It's off the computer. It's called Ease of Access. Ease of Access. These features are in your normal computers as well. People just don't know where they are. There's navigating and all sorts of stuff in there, accessibility features built into the computer. So don't forget that that stuff's there. So it might be that they only have access to a device at school. Make sure that they're aware of what that feature is and what it does. When you think about what I said about those licensing costs and everything else, they're inexpensive. They're easy to use, so they're very intuitive. Anyone seen the kid that was in the restaurant, 4-year-old kid, and a big fish tank? So they're trying to swipe the fish. Kids already know how to use this stuff before they even talk. They're very easy to use, very intuitive. Some stuff's more intuitive than the others. And they're cool. Aren't they cool? I want one. Kids love them. Doesn't make you stand out. But there is a whole bunch of other reasons that you could be using. Anyone seen that? There is one for dyslexia, by the way. A specific one. That's based on Bloom's taxonomy for any teachers in the room. If you want to get lost in what's available, go and look at that. So that's actually based on a thing called the SAMAR system. So it's telling you what is the greatest difference of why you're using a product. So substitution means you're just swapping an old school stuffing. So for example, writing on a piece of paper with a typewriter as opposed to typing in an iPad, that's just substituting the process. You go through augmentation where you're actually changing what you're doing, modification, and then right up to redefinition. So say your teacher asks you to do a paper, 1,000-word paper on something, you come in and you've done a bright new video and posted that over the internet and had feedback from a professor around the subject. That's really taking it to a new level, yeah? It's not just doing a 1,000-page report on an iPad. That's really useful just to get your head around stuff, what's out there. Right, I don't want to mention Google. Has anyone here got their kids using Chromebooks at school? So they'd be pretty Google G Suite users. But Google G Suite you need to know about, or should know about, and Chromebooks run off G Suite. So G being Google. They've got a whole bunch of software, so they're not worried so much about the accessibility features that Apple has built into their machine. They're doing it through their software products. They've got all these add-on apps that go into their G Suite, for example. Who uses Google Chrome as opposed to Safari? Or I'm a very Google Chrome user. They've got a heap of stuff in there that you can make personal adjustments to that search engine for you. For example, there is a mathematics one, formula-based one. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. You just got to go and have a play around and have a look. So this is where I like to play around a bit, where I use, very important if you're dealing with someone who has multiple disabilities, for example. I find the match of the iPad product or the iProduct with the Google suite of products really good, because you can actually start to really weave and meet a lot of requirements all at the same time, rather than just having one product serve. You actually need a few different ones to get through the myriad of problems that you may be facing. Can't make more time, but you can make the most of it. I love audiobooks. I use them all the time. I drive a lot. Got a big region to cover, so I just put audiobooks in. I put a report on, listen to it. For someone who can't read, how good is it if the school is providing their material in audio format? It should almost be not an option. It should be a mandatory necessity that if you're providing written materials, that you do it as an audio preference. But I have some products that will get you around that. Just need a little bit of good input. Basically what I mentioned that is that the device becomes your one-stop shop. You don't have to go and get a Kindle, for example. That's just dedicated to doing one thing. Your devices will do multiple things. Quick plug for me, just getting off this last screen before I look at the resource code, resource list. I do a newsletter once a month, and I do have in there a techno page. So if you wanted to subscribe, you could send me an email and I'll put you on my distribution list, or you can find it on my website.
Are those emailed newsletters or?
I email it out, but it's also linked through my Facebook, NDCO Facebook and LinkedIn, and the webpage that I do. Thank you. This is Mark from Region 15. Thanks for listening.